do we need to go out to approve it then? Motion to go out of drainage district?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. We are in a drainage district. Is there a motion to approve the contract?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract, the FY 26 contract.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion approved. We want to do that. We want to do that. Amendment benefit fire board of trustees appointment consideration. So Richard Leischering's turn is up. We have another person that applied to be on it. Liz Caspers. Do we have any idea if Richard still wants to do it?
I have his number, I'll text him,
Okay.
I think.
We usually don't take somebody off unless there's a request to be off or.
Right.
I've heard nothing from him. Do we have, is there a number on there?
Not for Leischering. I think I'm saying that right.
I have Bill's number, I don't wonder if that's relation. I'll try it.
Okay. While you're doing that, we'll jump down to some other stuff. Road closure request in front of Hilton Township Hall, September 13th and 14th. AM on the 14th.
Absolutely not.
We got one more.
The sheriff's noted it was Seth that did that.
I'm kidding. I make a motion to close the road in front of the Hilton Hall. Do we need a road number?
No, we'll need to tell Nick, and then I think Nick brings the barricades in to do it.
I'll
For
second it.
the 13th and then, yeah, morning of the 14th.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion approved.
Kevin, can you spell Leischner on the tree here?
Leichsenring. Transfer from flex fund to general basic repayment of internal fund temporary operating loan of 10,000. Resolution 2025-06-27.
Each year, we just have to do a transfer because we don't have funds in the flex because we have to front that when flex goes into effect at the beginning of the year.
Oh, this is a,
So then, if we didn't do this transfer, people using the flex, then that fund would be negative. So we just borrow money from the general basic at the beginning of the fiscal year, and we just are required to pay it back, back at the end of the fiscal year.
I'll make that motion to approve it then.
approved resolution. Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second
All in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed say nay. Resolution approved. Now we need this one, right?
non-budgetary.
Okay. That one's for you.
Oh, I hope to not forget it at the end of the fiscal year.
it. Yeah, okay.
And now, items consideration for in 2 weeks agenda. For the 11th.
I have nothing right now.
I'm gonna wait to hear back, we can hear something back from Les Schering. Les Schering's own one of the restaurants.
Oxford. That's when I texted.
Bill, right?
Yeah.
Or-
On the 11th, we have 9:15 public hearing for,
The road.
yes. Dylan Travisall is coming in for update on drainage. The resignation, and then I will have my, request for approval for clerk pay from employee.
We can't announce yet who it is, right? But it knows, although that person's done their notifications of where they were now.
Just gonna wait till she starts.
Okay.
Secret.
Well, just some people want to make sure they're done with whatever they're looking at.
Are we gonna meet the Friday of the fair with Lido Life, should we check that off?
Some years, depends what's going on.
Yeah.
Some years we do and some years we don't.
Okay. I
That's
will,
the 18th or what?
yeah. I will make a meeting for it.
Sometimes we just zip over and do the minimal stuff and get back and that's what Brandy is required from us. Yeah, we know you run the place. We don't have anything in the match shows, is it? Yeah. I guess we can go recess for 10 minutes.
Well, we have the public hearing at 9:15. 3 minutes.
Oops, sorry.
Hopefully, Matt heard.
Yeah, well, we didn't do it just like I didn't realize it didn't be here at 9:20.
There it is.
Everybody's worried you weren't coming. Forgot about it.
You're such a hurry, forgot the donuts.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true, yeah.
You said next time, today'd be next time.
I meant when Nick comes back next time.
It'll never be next time.
You're really fun enough on him. What, guy?
Thank you. Good. Thank you.
That's right. I guess the resolution you're on.
All right, first thing on the agenda is the,
Wait a second. Are we, 2 minutes, we have to wait.
so,
We went to public hearing to talk about the road.
excited for your road to be finished, Chris?
What's that?
Excited for your road to be finished?
They've been really good for letting me go and drive to my house whenever I need it, so. Yesterday, they were putting the big billet right here on the road, and I said, well, I probably can't go get my tractor today, can I? I'm afraid it is.
Yeah.
It's all right. Hopefully. But yeah, it's been quite the process. They've had good weather to do it.
Yeah, they've been lucky.
Yeah. Oh, I need a sign at 250th and J. It's signs there, but it's been broke off. And then rumble strips on 275th and J. Horrendously bad. Rolling dump trucks, I think.
All right. We can take care of that.
Perfect.
Okay, it's 9:15, public hearing. Public hearing to establish an area service system B road classification for portion of A Avenue.
What should I go into public hearing?
Second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are into public hearing. Public comments? Written comments? Receive anything?
I have not seen.
Questions, concerns from the board? Motion to go out of public hearing?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are in a public hearing. Resolution 2025 06-27A. Resolution reduce level B maintenance area to B road. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Resolution approved.
All right,
All right, that was easy.
that's how they should all go, right?
Right.
I wish.
Okay, now you can do your level.
All right, for construction, we have our two road projects going on. B52 by Millersburg. They should be finishing their mainline paving today. And then they'll have to come back and shoulder rock and finish their driveway fillets and intersections. So talked to our inspector today and he thought that, you know, they might shoot to get done next week, but they probably won't finish next week because yeah, I think they'll be back the week after the 4th, but they should be done by the 11th for sure, I would think. You know, weather depending. Yeah, that's gone pretty smooth. They've had a couple crews out there, so they're making quick work of it. It's a big project. We also started our St. John's Road project this week. We got the crack and seat done. They put the first lift on yesterday of asphalt, and they're doing the second lift today. They're working tomorrow, and
They haven't worked a lot of Saturdays.
yeah, they're hoping to be done, I think, by Thursday. So it's a nice little project for them, but they're working hard on too, so that'd be nice to get that one wrapped up as well. Our road crew's just been doing a lot of ditching and hauling rock this week. Doing some spot rock here and there. In the office, like I said, we've got construction going on, so our inspectors have been out on the project sites pretty much all week. We've had Terracon come and do some soil borings for us for our next year's bridge projects. They're also doing some environmental sampling too for asbestos, lead, and chromium on those bridges. So we'll get those reports back soon.
Asbestos.
Yeah, we have to do an asbestos report on it.
Is there asbestos on bridges?
Typically, yeah.
On what?
Yeah, it's, a lot of times they'll find them on, if it's a timber bridge,
Yeah.
they have those caps on the piling. A lot of times they'll find it in there. I mean, it's not much, but
Yeah.
they'll find it. So another bid item, we gotta pay that every month, you know, but better safe than sorry, I guess. Filed for some DNR permits, some floodplain permits for those bridges as well. And then just, we got preliminary plans due for those two bridge projects here in a couple weeks, so trying to get those wrapped up to get them submitted to the DOT. Yeah, been out on the road projects quite a bit here today. So.
When's the next get back?
I believe he gets back early Monday morning, but I don't think he's working until Tuesday. So. Monday to recover.
We've talked, I think, I hope, I don't remember, so we talked about the new building down for transportation, veterans, we have
Legion.
Legion building that they did their part, got the drainage in, the rock. And I believe I talked to Nick, and we talked to Nick, is that little bit of grass in between us, we were gonna rock the rest. So we understood it that way, we would have, they're gonna park on it anyhow.
What's that?
They were gonna park on it anyhow, we just won't rock it.
Okay.
So, yeah, Dylan's gonna be contacting them or whatever. I'll give them maybe a little rock down there and
Sure.
smooth it out.
Sure.
We don't know if we need to scrape off some dirt first or not.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk with Nick about it when he's back, or if he has some questions, I'll give you a call.
Okay. And then this, don't leave it about this.
What's that?
Don't leave it about this.
Okay. Anything else? That's all I got.
Any other questions for Matt?
Oh,
No,
Okay.
All right, have a good weekend.
you too,
Thank
man.
you. Okay, now we can go to, I don't know if she shows up really early.
go to recess.
Yeah, go recess.
Hi, Becky.
Good morning.
One of our comments when we were on recess. Somebody twerk.
Who said it? Does it say?
Jack Swain.
Go for it, Chris.
There you go.
We're ready.
You ready?
Yep.
Am I ready?
Hope so.
So you got my update that bus is still at the shop. And they were hoping to get back to me this week and I haven't heard anything, so.
What about the sale of the one?
I looked at it the other day and it's up to $110.
Woo!
How long got it on there for? Is there a certain time?
I think it goes off July 2nd. And previously, if they wait till like the last
Yeah.
few hours and then it boom, 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 it's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's on the bids on that kind of thing going.
And every bid extends the deadline like 3 minutes or something.
Yeah,
If you're trying to buy stuff, I've got dry sheets.
yeah, I know, it's very.
Trust
I
me.
got it.
Last second, yeah, last second.
So you got my notes. Did anybody have any questions on anything? Did you look at the spreadsheet for the operating expense thing?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I was interested in the fact that two of the smallest counties, well, us and Washington County are fairly small. Benton County also, but the number of rides that are provided, and then you divide that into the operating expense for that county, some of it just is mind blowing.
Yeah,
But anyway,
It is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. There was one thing I forgot to mention in my report. The Iowa Public Transit Association Conference is being held in Coralville, the 16th, 17th, and 18th of July. I know we talked about traveling out of state needed approval, but this is just Coralville, so.
Yeah, you're good.
I intend on going. It depends on what the itinerary looks like. I'd like to be able to take Stacy with me so she can meet some of the people that we interact with via email.
So how does that affect
Put it-
your office then?
Well, Jill will be there.
That's okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
She can manage it. But yeah, you spend a lot of time emailing these people and you don't ever see their face, so, it's been interesting to me to go and actually meet these people and kind of put a face with it and kind of opens up a better conversation with them. But we won't be staying down there, anything, just driving back and forth. Like I said, depends on the itinerary, what it looks like, what they have scheduled.
Say, staying overnight, we don't cover it unless it can't be an adjoining county.
Right, no,
Okay.
no. So,
Didn't know if you knew that.
and Jill, so say that again. If
Yeah.
you're-
Can't be an adjoining county to our county, to stay overnight.
Good enough. I mean, we're in Coralville every day anyway, so.
Well, just some people just take it for granted you can, but no,
Yeah.
we don't cover that.
Anything else? No. All right.
Okay,
See you next month.
thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
you too.
Hey, guys.
How are you doing?
Good.
Lots of paper today.
Same thing I emailed out, so. I have some small accounts for the public here. All right, you ready for me to get started?
Yeah.
All right, I'll start with my report here. May calls, we had 166 compared to 156 in April. 126 of those were transports and 40 refusals. For the fiscal year, we have a total of 1,745 calls, averaging 158 per month. 1,323 transports, averaging 120 transports per month. And we've had 422 refusals, averaging 38 per month. A little bit slower than last year, but not much. 39 times both trucks were out at the same time. Only one of those times we were able to staff a backup ambulance. We had to request an out-of-county ambulance 0 times though, so that was good. We had 26 transfers out of the hospital. Finances for May, actual expenses, $166,711, compared to a monthly budget of $211,182. For year-to-date, our actual expenses in the May were $2,229,721, compared to a year-to-date budget of $2,323,005. The difference, year-to-date expenses, budget expenses versus actual, were $93,283 under budget. I would expect us to come out about that at the end of the Tuesday when we're done with the end of the year. It's kind of where I'm projecting. Overtime was a big savings. We didn't have any, our last hire was September, so we didn't have any turnover September. Although we're gonna have some in August, but I'll get to that. May revenue, $109,146, actual revenue for May. Year to date, actual revenue, $1,185,000 to $185,204, compared to year-to-date budget revenue of $1,025,292. So year-to-date actual revenue compared to budgeted revenue, we're $159,912 over revenue. And that will stay the same, or maybe a little bit more. By the end of the fiscal year here, difference in actual expenses minus year-to-date actual revenue, $1,044,517, compared to our budgeted expenses and budgeted revenue of $1,297,713. So our cost variance between actual budget and actual is $253,196 to the positive, to the good. Our year-to-date average charge per transport, $1,211, compared to average revenue per transport of $885. Our average cost per response, $1,277, and our average cost, break it down by transport, billable call, $1,685. So finances are looking okay. We get towards the end of the year. Satisfaction, pretty consistent, 97%. Normal activities, our preparedness board meetings. Our June training was hemorrhage control and hypovolemic shock. We practiced that because we were having an active shooter exercise, and then we had the exercise this past Wednesday. That went pretty good. We had 13 of our staff show up. Almost half, that's half our staff, so that's good. We are helping spread, we're sponsoring a blood drive with Public Health on July 22nd. Basically just put the word out and try to recruit people as our sponsorship, and we will try to promote that at the fair as well, since that's the week before that. I got some extra staffing planned for the 3rd and the 4th, like noon till 10 o'clock at night. And then we have fair staffing, which will basically use those dates, 16th to the 19th, from 8 a.m. till 9 p.m. Equipment, mostly normal maintenance. We did have a garage door spring break in Williamsburg Wednesday, but we were able to get it fixed yesterday on Thursday, so it was a pretty quick fix. And then we got notice that the Iowa County Community Foundation grant we applied for the new EKG monitor was denied. So we're gonna look at some other grants, see if we can find some other way to help with that cost. Personnel, we have one full-time resignation we received quite a bit early. The last day of the August 15th, we're taking a teaching position up in Minnesota. So we got some time to prepare for that. We got 3 interviews scheduled for Monday. So that was positive. We got 3 applicants. So hopefully we get that filled fairly quickly and get them going. I guess I didn't really put it on here for an agenda item, but are you guys okay if I get that person started the 1st of August to get them start training before the other one leaves? I didn't really think about it until now I'm reading this. Because
You can't decide that without an agenda, can we?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on the next agenda just to make sure.
Yeah, you're supposed to ask permission. Since
Yeah, I didn't even think about it.
Extra employee.
I do, usually I'm not that lucky that.
We're not getting on until July 11th.
That'll be fine. Put it on that agenda.
Just send me exactly what you want.
Yeah, just approve. Well, I'll actually have the name of the person probably by then, but approve hiring replacement for Tim's position before he leaves on the 15th. I don't know exactly what date, if they could start. It usually takes about 2 months of training, so, but depends how much experience they have too. But if we can get them started at least the 1st of August, we get a couple weeks going there. So I think that should time out about right. I'll have to look at the pay period too, Brandy, and see, it might work. They have to start at the beginning of the pay week.
Yeah.
At least have them start on the, I guess, August 1st is a Friday, so. All right, so, yeah, we'll get back and when you meet again?
The 11th.
I have one full-time on medical leave, starting July 25th, for about 12 weeks. For pregnancy, and then another one on sometime around June 30th, when his wife has their baby, so he's not sure if he's gonna be gone 2 or 4 weeks yet. See how things go. I mean, if everything goes smooth, they'll probably come back in 2 weeks. So that's, well, I was kind of rushing. Somebody hired to get going there. All that. I was on vacation the first couple weeks of June. We had 6 call-ins while I was on vacation, which is kind of unusual. I don't know if they're just testing our other leadership staff or what, but 6 call-ins is about 2 or 3 months worth normally. But our captains did a good job of getting their shifts filled, so there was no issues. Safety-wise, normal stuff. Sheriff's office did have an elbow injury, which was no lost time. They just got checked out at the clinic. Wrestling an inmate, I believe, something happened there. I got research and safety concern reporting process. I really haven't done anything on that. I haven't had time. But we do have a safety meeting coming up in July, so we can kind of discuss that too. HIPAA, we'll get to that in a minute. We have a new contract to sign by Iowa Association of Counties. That's my normal report, and then I was gonna start some discussion on this essential service levy, if there's any other questions on the regular stuff. So last time I was here, you guys approved ordering a new ambulance, and that, the cost of $308,000 or something. I mentioned that it might be a good time to look at this essential service levy, and I think Kevin said, yeah, that's a good idea. So I put some information together. It's just a draft, really. I haven't had, the EMS advisory we'll meet with them July 14th, or I will. So this is just stuff I put together. Evan maybe helped me a little bit in my office, but the first time really sharing it with anybody. So there might be, I put draft on here. So if you see any language you don't like or things that could be added, if we decide to move forward, please share that with me. But so the first 3 pages there, just kind of go explain why we would need the levy, why would we do it. You guys will read through this. I'm not gonna read through it all again. And then I put together kind of the steps and potential timeline, like if we want to do this right away, is about the quickest we can do it. That doesn't mean we have to do it this quickly, but this is the quickest. If you want, we feel like we need the money fiscal year 27, you have to get this moving fairly quickly. And then the last, the public notices, might have borrowed those from some other counties. Tim, the assistant Tim, looked at all those and said they were good. So I put those in there. I guess just, you guys wanna ask questions or?
So we did go, if we decided to go forward with this, we can't have it with the general election. It has that.
You could, yeah, you could.
That negative.
I don't know where my chances are better with the general or chances are better having the special.
There's more voter turnout in the general, which would be more representative of the population.
I just think it's cheaper not to have a special.
It has to be, yeah.
Yeah, oh, I agree.
I don't know how much a special election is.
A lot,
All I got is this.
thousands of dollars.
I mean, if you're talking $10,000,
The
you're
programming
gonna,
alone is thousands of dollars.
what's that?
The programming alone is thousands of dollars,
But if you
and
put,
that's no ballots.
but if you put it into the general, it's,
That
It's,
sounds bad, because then you don't have a separate ballot.
that's what I was thinking, is
Mhm.
if we, that's why I asked
And
the
it's all
question, if we're gonna do it,
it.
that'd be the best time to do it, at least economically.
Before we even get down that rabbit hole, I just have concerns of doing it in the first place. What's the goal of implementing this?
Well, it's funding,
Funding, yeah.
To raise taxes?
it's to fund our essential services.
We are funding it. We're currently funding it right now.
We can't give raises to anybody this year because we have no funding.
We had other options to cut other services that were non-essential that could have been done. And I think that should be done first before we ever raise taxes. What are we gonna do? So the 75 cents on the valuation for this fiscal year, that's $887,000. That's not
What-
even,
What service are you cutting?
home health, would be the easy one.
So, I mean, I brought this up because we ordered the ambulance, and I like, with the budget, at least my understanding, where we're gonna find $300,000 to buy an ambulance. And then we can't go another year without giving raises, we're gonna really start losing people. That's why I brought it up, is
Yeah,
maybe it's time to look at this. Is there
but let me
other
keep
ways,
going.
is there other
Can I
ways?
finish my thought here? 70 cents on the valuation that we had this fiscal year, that's $887,000 and an increase in property taxes. What are you gonna do with that 887 that we're not taking out of the general fund? That's my number one question. My second question is, that's still $410,000 short to the property tax contribution that we gave for this fiscal year, the current one. So you're still gonna be short.
You're still gonna have to fund it, part of it out of the general fund.
Yeah. I was in Buchanan County last night. They're trying to pass it. They tried last year. It failed by, I think, less than 1%. For them and for the other 21 counties that I think are trying to do this, it makes sense because they're on a volunteer basis. They've never had a paid ambulance. So trying to find the $1 million, whatever it might be, to implement a full ambulance service, there's no way because of the property tax legislation capping them. However, for us, we've been funding it, and this is just a way, it's just gonna raise taxes.
We have to, it's the only way we have to raise revenue, and that, we haven't cut the other services that you say we can, and it hasn't been cut. We have to be able to fund the essential services for the county, even though it's not classified essential, I'm gonna call it ambulance. I'm gonna call the ambulance service essential.
I absolutely agree it's essential, but we have non-essential services that we're providing. This goes back to what I said originally from the Islands for Tax Relief event, where we need to sit down and have a hard look this summer at what services are we providing? How are they mandated? Are they mandated by law, or are we doing them for extra just because? And what are they costing the taxpayers? I think that should be done before we ever put a resolution together to raise taxes. And I also think if we're gonna open up this can of worms, it's time to look at the hospital and get a proposal from them on what it would take for them to take over the ambulance service. That's the due diligence to the taxpayers right there,
I think the due diligence is to make sure they have a service.
which includes looking at all the options.
The ambulance supposedly, so the hospital's already talked to the people about this and they walked away and never came back.
I would like to bring Barry Getch in here and get his opinion on that.
I'm just telling you a fact.
I don't know if that's fact.
They've talked to several people on the board and never came back.
The hospital doesn't have ambulance, they don't have ambulance staff. I don't know how they staff an ambulance,
Yeah. Well, let's let them answer that question.
you know, because I can tell you, the current staff is happy with where they're employed at.
Mm-hmm.
They do not want to go work in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't hired to work in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So you would probably put the thing in a worse situation by not having enough staff to staff 2 ambulances.
I'd like Barry to be able to answer if he could staff it or not. I don't want to speak on his behalf. But I think we should bring him in. If we're gonna talk about this and put this on the agenda, I think we should put him on.
Shouldn't he approach us if he wants to purchase it? We need to reach out to someone.
Well, why would he think we're wanting to?
He's
give
already
it away?
approached us once, but why didn't he come back?
Probably because he didn't think there was any temperature for it. I don't know. I'm not speaking on his behalf. I don't know.
Well, you seem to be.
No, I'm just saying, I think we need to ask them. I think we need to bring them in and say, what would it look like if you guys took this over? Are you interested? And then have them go to their drawing board and give us a proposal.
You know how many counties
Well,
have,
I think we're on apples and oranges here, like, I just came to see you. We don't have to do anything. We sat here during budget, we couldn't get raises,
We couldn't fund anything, and I agree.
we got a new ambulance ordered. As long as you can pay for all that out of the general fund, we don't have to do anything. I just trying to do this to help.
It's not really apples and oranges, though. If we're gonna sit down and seriously have a conversation about raising taxes by almost $900,000, that conversation also needs to be had on all the options.
The state is limiting us how we can fund stuff anymore. We have to reach out and do it in other ways.
I mean,
That's squeezing the toothpaste, Kevin. You're trying to find the holes in the toothpaste tube and figure out where you can raise taxes to go around the state, and I don't support that.
I'm supporting supplying the services that we can. You're trying to cut services that we're providing. I'm not for that.
I don't think the government should be doing services that we're not required to do by law, and that maybe we're not the best at anyways. That private sectors can easily do for less money than us. I think that's the foundation of most conservatives.
you know how many
I
counties
would
have,
disagree that the private service could provide ambulance service better than.
Not saying this, I'm not saying this, but in general.
I agree there are some, I just agree that the private service is gonna have shitty ambulances and shitty staff, and you get what you pay for.
I think if Compass took it over, there is no other organization in this county that I think has better staff than that organization. Everywhere we go, I get compliments. People are thankful for that hospital. When you go in there, they smile, they say hi. Their retention is very high, and I think that an ambulance service would be ran just like the rest of the hospital is.
They had the ambulance service once, they had the opportunity, and it wasn't working out.
Because the supervisors decided because of a logo on the side of it and
No,
An
there
increase
was
in the
lots of
ads.
money in there as well. Hospital come
That
back,
was an old logo.
even before the current CEO, we had battles over contract the last 30 years.
yeah, we went from what, paying 170,000 to Compass was up the last contract, I have it somewhere,
I don't
to
know.
now we're tuning in $1.2 million into it.
I mean, I've been doing this almost 30 years, different board of supervisors, and different hospital CEOs, it's always a battle.
And I sat next
And always
to,
put us right in the middle of the ambulance staff with these two boards trying to get along. It's much easier having one entity in charge of the thing.
well, I sat next to Galloway one time during union negotiations, and that was when John was still on the board, and I was telling him, I'd like to pursue this route, and was talking to him about it, and he thought it was crazy. His county's begging their hospitals to take them over. I know for a fact Buchanan County is.
Most critical access hospitals lose money on ambulances. It's not a money-making service for it.
So there's gonna have to be
Most
some
hospitals
funding.
don't wanna do it. It makes no sense for critical access hospital, financially, it doesn't make sense for critical access hospital to want to.
So if we have a critical access hospital that's willing to entertain it, I don't know, but this is where I'd like to ask them if they're still interested. And see, that's a huge benefit.
They will have to find 25 staff to do it, because our staff does not want to go that route.
That's fine. I'm just saying, I think it's a route we should be exploring.
Well, that's your opinion. I just need to know. if
No,
you're not gonna
absolutely
do
not.
anything with this.
Absolutely, I will not have anything to do with
And
it.
this is not the board raising taxes, this is the board asking citizens if they want to raise taxes.
Yeah, it goes to a vote.
But it's already being funded.
We're not deciding if we're gonna raise the levy.
The funding is not adequate, is what I feel. It's fun. Are we gonna get raises next year? Are we gonna be able to pay for this $300,000?
I don't have a magic 8 ball to tell you where
Well, I mean,
valuations are
so
coming in.
how do we plan ahead, right? And you've twisted this into, oh, the hospital should do it. Well,
It's not a twist.
That's
If
not
we're
what
gonna
we
talk
do.
about $900,000 in property tax increase, we need to look at the whole picture. That's called doing your due diligence and looking at the whole picture.
We're giving the citizens the right to see if they want to raise the tax. It will be a vote by them. We're not deciding to do it. We're giving the citizens the opportunity if they want to fund it.
We're the first part of it though. And I will never support this.
It's a vote. I don't know why you wouldn't give the citizens the right to speak what they want to do.
They all
Shut that-
elected all of us and they surely elected me and I know I have an idea about most
Why
of
would
what they
you want
would
to
do.
give the people the right to have a voice?
It's not a,
It's giving them the right to voice if they want to do it or not. Why would you want to turn down the voice?
it's not turning down the voice.
You're not letting them vote.
I don't think that they understand either that it's
So-
already being funded. This is just,
So you're
on
calling the
top.
voters not knowledgeable.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I think we should give the voters the right to vote.
I disagree.
When do we have to have that timeline?
there's nothing, this, I just put together the quickest way.
Right, but to get on the general election, how,
Well, so you kind of gotta work backwards, so you gotta publish it. The ballot has to be published 60 days beforehand. And you gotta back up, you gotta do the resolution of, I have to march it out. So you got a public notice, and you got 60 days, you gotta have 3 public hearings at 3 meetings. So that's gonna take you a month at least, another 30 days. And then you gotta publish the levy question at least 60 days before the election, so. If you start the first of the year, you should have time. I'm not saying we have to. This is an option. You don't wanna increase taxes or cut other services to help fund our existing operations right now, even if we don't wanna add anything. You don't have, I don't need to know today. Now that I have some information for you to think about, to discuss. So I'm gonna come back in August anyway, you can, or if we need more time than that. I mean, I pretty well won't do anything until I guess you guys say, hey, do this. Well, I can do anything, you guys got.
We can't get on this general anyhow, can we?
No, we can't get on this.
So this gives us plenty of time.
Yeah.
No.
yeah, there's no general issue, so.
Well, it could be on a city, but you don't have time to get on it. We'd have to get started a couple months ago.
Do you guys have thoughts, Chris? Seth?
My thought, how many counties in the state still have an ambulance? I wonder, it'd be something, one question I'd like to look into, but, counties our size, like Hardin, one about the same size as us, see how they're funding it, because I know it's,
Washington did start theirs, right?
Yeah, they've had a county for.
Didn't you help them get do some stuff on it?
Yeah,
they had
Taken over.
Washington, they had Washington before, hospital,
private,
private.
contract with the county. But but he's now on the board of supervisors. They are kind of looking into the essential services now, I think. I think Henry County has passed it. They have a county service, but I can kind of.
So you want the same amount, or the general fund, you take the same amount and plus this levy, or?
That has
That's up
been
to-
decided, yeah,
yeah.
no, I threw out the moon here, right? You know,
This could be used to offset the general fund?
yes,
Possibly.
yeah. My initial thought was use that, keep the personnel in general fund, use this for equipment and buildings. If we are to ever add another truck, we need more room, whether that's a paid truck or volunteer truck, whatever. We don't have room to house those, so use some of it to either lease or build a new building at some point. You know, when that's done, if you need the money for staffing, use it for staffing or back into the general fund.
So if we build a new building, that $1.2 million property tax contribution to your department's looking like 1.5 or something, it will go up.
If we do it with this,
Yeah, whatever, either way. If you want to buy a new building, either way, that's still gonna increase your total ask.
yeah, I'd be afraid to ask for a new building right now without having extra funding, because I'm just lucky if I can get a raise or get $50 million less. So,
It'd just be nice to have somehow service the southern end better.
yeah,
What'd you say, Kevin?
It'd be nice to be somehow to service the southern end of the county better. If we ever get another truck, I think it should go that direction, you know? If. And
And that's thing, we're just gonna have to sit on, because by the time we have to make a decision on anything, we'll be into our next year's budget, we'll be doing that. You know, December, we'll start on that process again.
so to get it on the general next, how far advance would we have to be? Like now already? Like, and that's what I mean, like when next year would be the drop dead date of when we'd have to have something done, do you have any idea?
Or misdemeanor.
so you can do the resolutions whenever. You don't have to actually go put it on a ballot. You can do the resolutions and never put it on a ballot. The resolutions you're declaring it, I think you might have like a year. I had to look at the actual law a little bit closer.
It's like when you it's set rate that they vote on, or how does that, or you set the rate?
No, so the EMS advisory is supposed to come, take a look at it, come back and make a recommendation. EMS Advisory Council, which you guys already have set up. But the resolution says, the adoption of this resolution will allow for an election to be offered for board approval of ad valorem property tax not to exceed 75 cents per thousand of assessing the value for EMS and the creation of a county Emergency Services System Advisory Council to assist in researching, assessing the service needs for the county and guide implementation of the same under Iowa Code Section 422D. Now be further resolved in proposition to fund EMS through either local option surtax or ad valorem property tax, or some combination thereof, fails to receive a favorable vote by at least 60%, this resolution shall be deemed null and void. So the resolution you pass don't have, doesn't mean
Well, it does say, it allows the,
it allows it to go to a vote. It doesn't mean it's gonna go to a vote, but
But the max is 75
that is
cents.
the max, yes. You can-
But the EMS advisory is the one that,
That makes
Chooses
sense.
what it
When
is.
they make
Up
that
to that
recommendation, we probably need an attorney in that to interpret
yeah.
that. I'm guessing you guys have the final decision of what goes on about.
We would.
Yeah, that's the way I understand it. They would make a recommendation. Then you guys.
And I don't think it's a bad idea, having to reach out to the hospital or private service, just to get an idea. I know it's not ideal, but it doesn't hurt.
I just don't want to lose staff.
Right, well, that's like I said, it's just people.
We're like, oh, we're gonna go to the hospital, or we're out of here, you know, that's what's gonna happen when we start talking about it.
Well, it shouldn't be if we just talk about it.
Well, that's what they get worried,
Well,
you know, so.
we put bids out on other things too, you know, so.
I think it's our due diligence to bring them in and at least entertain the conversation. which also, this is kind of unrelated, but per that email with the medical director's insurance, I got to thinking, did you reach out to Compass for a medical director from them?
No.
Okay. Next time, I think we should probably try to keep it in the county.
Yeah. We can have off record conversation on some of that, why we did that. We don't have any partnerships with them on the ambulance really right now.
That's probably a problem.
Works pretty well, so that's your opinion. You weren't here 10 years ago when things went down. And everybody's content on the ambulance. You guys go on rock and roll.
I do.
But there is 4 other board members.
It sounds like 2 of us are willing to entertain the idea.
Well, at least talk to us about other counties. This is fine. I learn more from talking to other counties than I do anything. So we
Would
get,
you be willing to entertain Compass County?
I've had mixed reactions to that, but
At some point, you might want to come talk to your ambulance employees too. Maybe you don't care about.
well, I definitely care about the employees. Don't get, I'm not saying that a bit, not one bit. They do a great job.
And I don't want to chase those good ones away. I think we need to be careful. Here we go. So what do you want to just kind of?
Let's put this on hold,
Let me know.
give you guys some chance to go and ask more questions and find some stuff out.
Sounds good.
My opinion.
And how many are gonna be on the ballot? We're gonna have special elections for this year, I wonder too.
Say what?
How many Iowa counties are gonna have a special election for,
Oh, I was gonna say, I didn't want to do it just because.
no, I don't want to. No, not at all. But I just wonder if some of them are gonna push that vote to get,
I'm sure they will.
And maybe we need to wait to see where the budget for next year.
that's the nice thing we have. We can do that this year.
I mean, I haven't brought this forward before because the budget's been sustaining what we need, so bring it forward now because cost of everything's going up and, and we need to pay our help and just trying to help figure a way out to do that.
And have equipment.
All right.
Okay.
So next, let's see what we have. We want to do this HIPAA thing. So we have an annual HIPAA contract with ISAC. I think it's the same price as last year. We're returning county $1,750. They provide training, expertise. You guys all read that. You guys have any questions over that at all?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion approved.
Yeah, sounds good.
I actually have 2 copies of it.
You just want to send it to me, Randy, when you get it done?
Yeah, or do you want?
I'll send it off to Beth. You just want to email me a copy? I'll email it to Beth. Since we're having so much fun talking more money today, want to bring up our fee schedule for what we charge patients. We don't have to do anything, but I have a chart here. It should all fit in your packet there. Our current charges are in the FY25 column. The second column there says Iowa low, that's state average low. Third column is state average high, or state high ones, not average, the low ones, high ones, and the average is in the fourth column. Then I put some recommended ones in, FY26 recommended. The ones that, I don't know if they show up on bold on yours, they're supposed to be BLS emergency, ALS emergency specialized, and ALS loaded miles. Those are our most, 99% of our charges are those, the most common. Billing company recommendations are bolded there in black, so $850 for emergency, $1,050 for ALS emergency, and $18 for mileage.
Doesn't,
It ain't gonna increase revenue significantly, because we're still, like, Medicare's only gonna pay so much.
Just gonna say-
Rocket's only gonna pay so much.
just gonna say, that insurance pretty much should.
Yeah, but, so what the theory is, if insurance doesn't really see you charging more, they're never gonna raise their rates, so.
It's a numbers game, you have to charge more.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I'm okay with that.
I mean, they seem like big increases, but we are kind of low compared to others.
I'm okay with fee for service, especially when it's through insurance.
Yeah, insurance like ours, just from experience, because I took an ambulance trip, is you gotta pay it via the Blue Cross rate if you have any deductible stuff. Well, my trip was like $1,250, so. They're not, our rates aren't extraordinary high, I'd say they're close to the averages.
They're below most of them.
Yeah. And the ones in bold are the ones that we use most of the time that don't make any difference. They may not make any immediate differences, but if the insurance company sees that, hey, we got, all these people, costs are higher, then maybe we should charge them, pay more.
Need a motion for that or not?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to have the increases for the FY 26
I'll second that.
services.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion approved.
Thank you. I think that's all I have. Yeah, that's all I got.
You got any other questions?
So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you guys. Hope you have a good weekend, good for.
So camping at the parades,
What about the praise?
you have to, well, you're in it usually, don't they?
Yeah, we're in, we got some candy for them already. Not with tax on. I know better. Yeah, fireworks are supposed to be a little bigger and better.
Bigger.
Yeah, they're gonna be lighting them up on, kind of on the levee or close to the levee, other side of the pond this year. That'll be interesting to see. Next year's even better, because it's, what, 250th anniversary of our country?
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Big celebration.
Scary, I remember the 200.
No, come on.
That's why Trump's coming next week. That's his first stop in his 250th anniversary tour.
Rode my bicycle around that day, I remember still remember doing
Yeah, I was.
it. We had
20 years old?
They had rubber tires and everything back then.
So I was almost born. I was born July 10th, 76. I just missed it by 6 days.
You're closer to my age than you're closer to my age than I thought.
That'll be 49 in July. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Anything else? We're ready to adjourn?
No. Yeah, Rob.
Oh, shit. I forgot about that.
See you later.
That's a good one.
Yes, I'm ready to adjourn, but no. So we want to text him, see if he can come over now.
You go on recess again?
That could be anything. That one.
Recess?
Yeah.
Mr. Otter, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Just seeing if I can bring the reserve hourly to 22, and hopefully recruit some officers, because I'm very likely I'm gonna go down to 2 here. We got a lot of things coming up this summer.
Can you find people?
I'm trying. You know, we did a three agency recruiting thing here a couple years ago. I think out of all that, I think we came up with one among the three of us, so it wasn't very successful, but I'm trying. We also have, you know, we always cross-train them so they can do anything we need them. I have 3 jailers seeking other employment, so we could be in trouble here coming into summer and fall if they are successful.
Is it a job issue or the pay issue for them too?
Probably both.
Sure, it's not the most glamorous thing to do.
No, you know, with the reserves, they're looking at, you know, that full-time law enforcement job, so, you know, I kind of expect that. It's just that we used to be able to bring younger folks in to kind of take their place, and that just hasn't been happening.
Well, all the young people are too busy going to all the sports and all that. They don't have time to do
Yeah,
anything else.
younger police recruiting is in terrible shape. We get a lot of people moving around with laterals, but new recruits is really bad.
Anything with my generation and volunteerism or whatever it might be,
Right,
it's gone.
you're right.
It's gone.
So I don't need any more money because the money's not getting spent because I don't have people in positions. So it's just a matter of trying to get the people that I can get to try to work more. Like we had that thing over in Amana with the Renaissance Festival, and we could only take care of part of it. They wanted an officer there pretty much the whole time that they were operating, and there was no way. I really only had one person sign up for it, and so all the hours that were worked there were done by one person. That's not good.
Make that guy want to quit sooner than he wants to.
Right.
Okay.
Do we need to vote on it?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed, say nay. Motion approved.
well, and I do see the, like $17 an hour isn't enough for really anything.
I'm sorry.
$17 an hour isn't enough for anything.
Right,
If you
yeah,
ask me.
it's, I mean, this is never gonna be a job that, you know, somebody really has to want to do this. It's not something they're gonna make a lot of money on. You know, if they have other part-time jobs, we have to at least compete with those.
And then while I've got you here, got other questions. Can we test it? Do you guys do it or who tests the panic buttons?
We do, yeah,
Do you have any idea? Can we get them done sometime? Would the new phone system screw that up like our 911 or not?
I'll talk to Jeff. Jeff is always one that does it. I'll talk to him, see if we can get them done. We'll probably have to pick a day, start with those.
Yeah, I mean, whenever they push the button, that way they know it's not an emergency.
Right.
Yeah. If it doesn't work. Yeah. That'd be great if we can make it work.
Right. Yeah, we were on a pretty routine basis of just check to see why we're not, because we have been doing them monthly, so I'll see what's going on.
Just want to make sure that messed up with the phone system like the 911 did.
Right.
So should I ask the other question then?
Which one?
That they were very adamant about where the courthouse was at on the address.
I'm sorry.
When they called over for 911.
Yeah.
They kept going on what address you had. They didn't know what the address is to get in the courthouse.
Well, I think the problem with that is the courthouse, for instance, just the courthouse doesn't say like if it's in this building, like this is part of the courthouse and then, you know.
Oh, they called by cell phone.
Okay, well, that makes it even worse then, because then you don't know, are you in the treasurer's office, the auditor's office? You know, over here, it's just hard. That, the cell phone doesn't tell us. It's not like a landline where the address pops up. The cell only gives us a dot on the map and then a coordinate, so.
I wonder if I called them in my field, they could find there.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna ask you questions like, where are you at? Because you're just gonna come up as a dot.
on the map with a coordinate.
Is it fairly accurate?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's hard when you're in multi-floor buildings because it doesn't know
Right.
that you have elevation there. So there's the other issue. So yeah, they're always gonna ask and try to pin it down as to where exactly it's at.
I have a random question, maybe you don't know the answer, but my friend, when it was storming in the middle of the night, had her landline magically called 911, and they said it's a known issue. How does rain cause your landline to cause 911?
Daily. It happens daily. I don't we were just dealing with it yesterday. And it's a phone that we know calls 911 like a few times a month. And
Get a different phone.
the phone companies don't really know. There's not a lot of service tax left to the landline phone companies in the first place. That's part of the problem. But yeah, that's been going on since 911.
I never heard
I
that.
thought that was crazy.
Never heard that.
Yeah. Will, the night the deputy shows up at her house.
Oh, yeah, that'd be creepy.
Yeah, well, it happened yesterday in the middle of the day when it wasn't doing anything. So it doesn't need to
It's a
stop.
random, it's random or it's always the same place?
It seems like certain phones do it more often than others, but it can be random. Yeah. It's just considered an abandoned 911, and sometimes we can't, like, even in cases of a cell phone, or it can be a line that has been disconnected for years that has no service, but it's still in the box, so it's calling. I don't know what the
I was gonna say,
reason for it.
I don't have a phone number, but I guess it can still happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it can still have, yeah, even though you haven't had a copper line phone in the house, it can still call 911. It's some kind of spooky sometimes, because
You
sometimes.
think it's a hacker doing it?
No, I think it's just some kind of weird electrical.
Kind of glitch.
Yeah. I think default is that it'll call, there's certain defaults built in that it'll call 911 if it can call anything at all. Cell phones are that way. You could disconnect a cell phone, it will drop the service, and it can still call 911. And I think there's some landlines that are built the
That
same
makes
way.
sense.
Any other questions, Ryan?
Good luck.
Thanks, I'll let you know. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Now you ready for an adjournment?
What about,
I never heard that. Do we have to do that today? Probably, don't we?
It's like their term is up.
I say we reappoint him since he didn't resign.
Right.
That's all I'd say. I'll make a motion to reappoint Richard Leichenring to the Amana Fire District.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion approved. Now.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.